Yes.
The biggest similarity I see between what you're saying and a Western figure is to Descartes in a couple of ways, because he's a mind-body dualist. Thinks the mind he can be sure is there, and it's permanent. The soul is permanent, but the body, it's hard to know, and it's going to go away and all that. And also he thinks the most fundamental knowledge is that he exists, and I heard you mention that. But the interesting thing is he's very much against any kind of authority. And in the I exist thing, he thinks that's the one thing that he doesn't have to rely on anybody else to tell him. He can verify that himself. So
yeah, but
so I'm curious what you think of that.
That's interesting. These are Western philosophers are almost 10% on the mental intellectual platform. By logic, reason, argument, deduction, and so forth, they come to certain conclusions, and some of them are quite correct. And but ultimately they always fall short, because the mind itself is a material thing. If I can give an analogy of the mind, what the mind is to the body, it is like a little boy who's flying a kite, and he's outside and he's watching it going higher, and he becomes so enchanted and absorbed in the movement and his ability to let it reel out, he runs into a tree or falls into a hole, or the thing gets tangled in a tree or in an electric wire, or the line snaps. So our mind is an extension, so to speak. It's a subtle form of matter which is projected out. And the mind, in fact, the mind on the mental platform, people who die, who physically die, especially those who have accidents in car or airplanes, they don't realize that they've died, because they're in their mental body, and it looks exactly like the gross body that we see in front of us now. Because the gross body is nothing but, just like what an architect envisions in his mind as a fabulous building, it's in his mind. And in due course of time, he gives it shape. And it stands there. And then if somebody, blows it up like they blew up, I don't know who built that thing, but if somebody blows it up, it's heartbreaking. But the architect in his dream is still there. So the mind, Westerners are very, mind-oriented. We have Einstein, and we have so many brilliant minds. But the mind, there's mind, intellect, and ego. And then there's the living force upon which all these things stand. When the living force is withdrawn, then everything collapses. Like, maybe they have Einstein's mind in a bottle somewhere, but is it thinking anything? No.
So sorry to interrupt. It's customary for us to adjourn at 12.
Oh.
Is it, people have to
whatever you have to do, you have to finish.